and now we're going to start narrating. So this part here is we've got the iPhone 13 Pro Max, and we're doing a back glass, as the title mentions. So we're going to use the heat tool here, which is it's a rework station, and it's set at 400 degrees, so it's pretty hot. So we direct with that nozzle there. We got a bent nozzle, and we direct the heat on the glass and not the frame. That's sort of the technique we use here. Now, as we dig it around, you'll notice the tip of my blade is sort of scratching around the frame and not inside at this point, because we're working our way through. So the first section we work is the part that's broken the most, because it gives us access to underneath the glass. So in this particular area here, there's no frame underneath that protects the charge port. So you've got to be very mindful and careful of the sections where there's no steel plate there protecting the insides or the internals of the device. So just be a bit careful around this area here. So you can see my technique is using the tip of the blade, and I'm scratching around the frame area and not really going sort of inside the device itself, like in the internal area. The reason I do that is in case I do have slippage, which you will have, tool slippage. When you do slip, like that part there, you won't actually dig into the internals of the device. So that's our technique, and you can see the direction of the heat that I have. It's always blowing towards the blade. So the blade actually protects the heat from going further or onto the frame sort of thing. So it's sort of directed up over the blade, so it'll heat the glass, and then any excess heat that comes off is sort of going up above the blade, so you're not really heating areas that you don't really want to heat. So yeah, that's the technique we use. There's probably many different ways to do this, but we've been doing it for a long time. This is our method that we use, and we've got like 100% success rate. We don't do any internal damage to the device at all. The battery's still in there. We haven't even opened the device from the other side at this point. You see, I've watched some videos, they remove the battery. It's probably a good idea if you're not real familiar with the way that this is done. But again, our technique this way seems to work great. We only get to heat areas that we want to heat, and any excess heat that comes, that area up there is another area that you've got to be careful of. This is probably one of the harder models to sort of remove glass from, because there's a lot of pitfalls that can happen when doing this. So that little black area there is the vertical magnets, and they normally come off with the glass, and you'll see the technique we use, that when the magnets do come off with the glass, we just stick it to the frame and then clean them all up later. So that's what we do there at this point. So at this point here, the section of glass that's around the camera is really thick, and you ain't picking that off easily. You've got to sort of do a two-step process with that section. We try to leave as much glass on the wireless charge module as possible, because that's a very fragile area, and we don't want to damage that. So if possible, we leave as much glass on the wireless charge module to sort of protect it while we're doing the work. So yeah, that's about it really in regards to removing the glass. Then we move on to the next phase of sort of destroying the glass around the camera, which we use like a hammer tool. It's a special tool that's available on our website. I'll put a link down in the description if you would like to purchase the hammer tool. I mean, I think they sell them everywhere. There's plenty of places where you can buy them, but the ones, we've been through a lot of different brands, and we recommend the one that we have for sale, we offer, because it's just reliable. Most of them will fail pretty quickly. The spring or something inside just fails, and then they don't really hammer much anymore. But the ones we get seem to be pretty reliable and last you a long time. So yeah, I'll put a link in the description for that guy. Now I'm just doing a bit of clean up here, moving on to the second phase. So this part here is the camera, the glass around the camera removal, and as I mentioned before, this is what entails using a special tool that actually cracks the glass. So you'll see here that I just work my way around. I sort of you tend to get a lot of tool slippage with this tool as well. So like I sort of, when I do a hammer, I'll make sure I'm not doing it in sensitive areas, and I sort of target the tip of the tool towards the cameras on an angle, like probably about I wouldn't know it really, but you can see in the video there what sort of angle I'm doing it at. And so that way when you do get tool slippage, it's going to hit the frames of the camera lenses and not damage anything, because you will get tool slippage, and there are a lot of open areas here where the frame exposes motherboards and flex cables and all sorts of stuff. So you got to be really careful, especially around that flash module. That's a place where damage can occur, and where the LiDAR sensor is, you've got to be careful there. There's also a microphone. I mean, yeah, the video microphone is located in that area too, which is sensitive. So there's a lot of little areas around the camera that you really got to pay attention to. So we're just going to work our way through here at this point. I'm just doing a quick test to make sure we sort of fire it up and just make sure that we're on the right path. It's purely just more of a sort of confidence level thing more than anything. I mean, we probably do it quite often just to make sure that everything's still functional and we're not doing damage to the device at all. As mentioned before, the 13 Pro Max is probably one of the hardest ones to do glass replacement. So yeah, some of them are just, the glass removal is quite an easy process. We seem to get a lot of these jobs. I think it's mainly because probably the customer would take this to another repair shop and they don't want nothing to do with it. Obviously, because if they break the device, then they'll be replacing it, and they're going to have to give the customer a new phone. So they tend to just steer away from this model. And the 13 Pro is another one. It's pretty much the same job, except the dimensional size of the device is smaller. So yeah, we do get a lot of these 13 Pro Maxes, and we're happy to do them. So if you've got one and you need it repaired, you can send it in. We do express shipping Australia wide, so it'll probably take a day for your device to get to us. It'll take, we can normally get them out the same day and ship them back, so it's probably maybe you'll probably be without your phone for 2 or 3 days depending on where you live in Australia. So yeah, if you want this job done and your local phone repairist doesn't offer this service, we can do it for you. So moving on here, we're going around the camera. This is where the glass is really thick, and you've really got to sort of work it. That part fell off pretty good there around the flash module, which is the flashlight. Normally that doesn't happen. You've got to really be a little bit tedious around that. It is a bit tedious actually around that area, and the glasses, you've sort of got to crack it in the right position to sort of gain access to get underneath it. And so we work it in sections. We take off the big stuff first, we'll come in here second. Now you can see why we leave the glass on the wireless charge port, charging module, because we still got a lot of work to do and move tools around in this area at the top, and that just helps to protect the module from damage when you're doing the work here in this area. It's very thick glass, and it's time consuming, not going to lie. So yeah, that's why we do that. So working in this area here, you can see that the LiDAR sensor is just starting to be exposed there, and also there's a microphone there that's adhered to the glass, so if you shovel that off, you're going to rip the microphone out, and then it's time to open up the phone and replace all that. You don't really, you've got to be a little careful. I mean, I'm not saying you can't fix those problems, but it just adds a lot. If you do break something there, you've pretty much got to disassemble the whole phone, pull out the motherboard to get access to that area. So the less harm you cause in that area, the better. I mean, anything's fixable. I mean, even if you damage the wireless charge module, that just means the battery's got to come out, the motherboard's got to come out. So for obvious reasons, we try to not do that. We're a little careful, but you know, we've been doing it a long time. We know the temperamental parts of the device, and make sure that we're not hurting anything. And for the most part, or you know, I wouldn't say 100% of the time, because I have this. See, you've sort of this area here where that flash unit is. That's something that's the flex cable's like that tiny. It's not funny. You've just got to move that in the wrong direction, and the flash module will fail. So, and that's another big job. Obviously, you've got to pull out the motherboard, yada yada yada. But yeah, so this area here is probably the most difficult part of the repair, is around the cameras. Because the glass is so thick, it doesn't really fall apart like the rest of the glass does. But yeah, it's a pretty straightforward job. I mean, there's nothing technical about it. It's just you've got to be careful, and just the tool slippage is the main thing. You don't want tool slippage, because it's just going to come back to bite you. So this area here, I tape up the motherboard area there, the exposed motherboard. That's just for like heat when I'm doing the final cleanup. We just use Captain tape here just to cover up the motherboard, so we're not exposing the motherboard to heat when we do the final cleanup. And we hold and also good. It's also good too to hold down all the loose parts floating around, like the flash module again, and the camera, microphone, and the LiDAR sensor. Just covers up all stuff that's exposed. That's a little bit dangerous to work around. So here I am again. This is where I go into the centre of the 3 cameras, and this part is the most difficult part because it's really thick, and you've just got to chip away at it, grind away at it, anything you can do to sort of get it out of that middle section there. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes not so easy, but I'm just using a bit of a grinding technique here, just slowly grind away at the glass in the centre until it starts to fall apart. So this area here is, and you got to make sure it's clean too, because when you put the new glass on, you don't want any little tiny glass shards or anything under there, because the new glass will fail, obviously, because there's glass underneath. So this area in particular has to be like spotless, pretty much. Total job probably takes, I'd say, an hour and a half, and then probably another, maybe an hour to an hour and a half, depending on how lucky you get. Every job's different, so sometimes it's a little bit harder, sometimes it's not. And then the adhesion process after the clamps are gone and the glue's on, we wouldn't recommend taking the clamps off for about an hour after we've glued it, But the glue we use is pretty good, which you'll see in the video soon. Once the final clean up and everything's ready to adhere the new sheet of glass, the back glass to it. It's pretty good glue. We haven't had any failures. In fact, we've had phones come back. Yeah, we've had we've had customers come back with a broken back glass like twice. You know, they've broken it again, and it's quite hard to get the glue off. I wouldn't say it's as hard as the original, but it's pretty hard. The adhesive's fine, and it's never going to come off. So anyway, now I'm working the wireless charge module, and at this point we just heat the glass again. I try to leave as many magnets on there as possible and just work my way around if I can, but I mean, it's inevitable. You're going to rip up magnets because they're not really stuck down in any way. They're more stuck to the glass than anything. So I just work my way around. You can see I just lost about 4 or 5 magnets there, and I just stick them to the clamping frame, because that's a steel thing. You probably see all the magnets stuck to it now, and I leave them there for till I'm ready to glue on the new glass, and then I'll put them all back in there. So that's not really a problem. If you lift them, you lift them, but I try to leave as many on there as I possibly can, just to save us time and work pretty much. So yeah, and here I am doing the final. So I go around the edges here and just make sure everything's flat. You got to pay attention to the edges here around the frame. This is where the glass sort of lays in, and you got to have a nice flat, clean bed. It's got to be pretty much spotless. We find heat to be the best way to clean the steel frame. We've tried different cleaners. We've been through all that. This seems to be the best way. Just make sure that when, like I was mentioning at the start of the video, if you see the way I'm blowing the air, it's sort of the blade acts as a shield as I'm working around the frame, and this technique seems to be really good. I've seen a couple of videos where the batteries actually caught on fire. That's because they're using, I wouldn't say too much heat, because it's got to be hot, but you've got to do it the right way. So if you follow sort of the technique we use, I think for the most part you'll be pretty much right. So now I'm just taking off the Captain tape here. I've just pinned down there's the microphone there in that area. I probably should zoom in here, but I don't know if the footage is great enough to sort of look at it like in detail. But just make sure this flash unit there is not moved around too much. It has shifted a bit, I can see, just by looking at the video, but that'll be fine. It'll work. So here I doing the final clean up, taking all those last bits of adhesive and any little shards of glass that I find. Just pay attention to this section of the job. It really needs to be done properly, and the whole thing needs to be like spotless at this point. So I've just sped the video up a bit. You can see the wireless charge modules all intact. Just cleaning up little bits of glue and everything there, getting ready to reattach the magnets at that point. It's looking pretty clean, and I think it's ready for magnets. So I'll just clean up my bench again. I try to do this as much as I can. The glass gets everywhere. We actually have a housing when we do it. Inside the housing, it's like a big square box type thing, and that just prevents glass from going everywhere. But I mean, we can't video it if it's in that, so this is why we're doing it like open. So the cleanups. So yeah, the cleanup's pretty bad in this instance. So here we go, this is B7000, it's a popular glue, it's used for a lot of things. This is what we use. It's really good glue. Once it's sets pretty quick. I'd say within an hour it's pretty much ready to go. and we've used a lot of other types of glue as well. Nothing really stands up to B7000. It's a good universal glue. You can use it for a lot of things. So here I'm sticking on the vertical magnets. We always try to use the original magnets. We've brought magnets before. I think that we could sort of save a bit of time by buying sort of assembled magnets. They're never as strong as the ones that come in with the original iPhone. So when possible, we always use the original magnets. That you don't lose them you don't lose them much because you can just stick them down. So you can see here I'm picking them off the clamping station. That's where we throw them. They just stay there till the end of the job, and then you can just stick them back on. So yeah, that's pretty straightforward, really. It is what it is. So here it is. I'm gluing them down now. Because they're loose at this point, they tend to move around a little bit. So when you do glue them down, they'll stay there. But you may see on this job, I'm not sure, I can't really remember, but you may see on this job that they'll actually lift and move around. That's because the magnets next to them are sort of acting against them. I'm not really sure. I think I got one that lifted, but you just place it back down. And the B7000 sets pretty quickly, so by the time you've worked your way around sticking all the magnets on, yeah, you can see that one there just lifted. That's what happens. I mean, you got to deal with that. But they stay down for the most part. And I'm just going to go around now and just glue on all the rest of the magnets. So if you like what we're doing here, give us a thumbs up. If you don't like what we're doing, because it does look a bit invasive, give us a thumbs down. Like, we're really good with it. But yeah, so and subscribe too, and I can make more content. We don't have a lot of time. I've always been wanting to do this for years, to be honest, but we just really have never had the time. And now things have slowed up a little bit with the economy, the Australian economy. You know, people are the housing market's down a bit. I mean, there's rent's up, electricity's up, everything just costs more money around the country, and we have had a slowdown in work. I think we used to do about 10 of these a week. Now we're down to about 2 or 3. So, I mean, this with a lot of other jobs, we pretty much repair everything. So yeah, I mean, I'm not saying we're going to go out of business in a hurry. We're not. We're still pretty busy, but nowhere near as busy as what we were. We'd be doing like 15, 20 jobs a day sometimes. I'd say 10 to 15 jobs a day. So we were a pretty busy shop. We still are a busy shop. We get a lot of ship-ins too from all over Australia. So yeah, we've got enough staff to cover it. But I've got a little bit of time on my hands now with my staff that's on. So I can sort of start to make a bit of content. I'm new to making content too, so make a comment down below if you think I'm doing all right, or I'm pretty crap at it. I think I'm pretty crap, to be honest. I'd have to be, because I'm only new at it. I'm trying my best though. I think I'll get better over time, I'm sure. And I don't make enough content. I'm not on social media much, but I'm going to start making a bit more of a presence. I've been told that's a way to sort of step up the intake of business. So here we go. Here's the new glass You can buy these from our website too. Everything we sell is pretty much quality. If you're looking for cheap price stuff, like, you're probably not going to find it on our website. We are competitive, but you get what you pay for, right? So we've got decent products. We're not really going to stoop to go lower and buy cheaper products, because we want our customers to be happy. We don't use rubbish. We just use good stuff. I can't really, we were talking about it the other day with my staff members, and they said, oh, you need to buy the cheaper parts. And I said, no, we don't need to do that. To stay competitive, we want good quality parts and good workmanship. We don't want to rush stuff and just use rubbish, because, at the end of the day, the customer's never happy about that. And the chances of them coming back is probably slim for those other guys that are undercutting. I mean, that's just how business is. You get what you pay for. And so here's the B7000. You can see the sort of layer. I'll just use a thin layer. You don't want to go too heavy, because it takes a long time to dry. We've found that this sort of thickness and this sort of, it's hit and miss, but you don't want to put too much on. Nice thin layer's fine. Dries nice and quick and just holds it really good. The more of the glue you put on, the worse it's going to be for you. So at that point, everything's clean, glue's on. Now the glass is going on here, and you can see here that my flash unit is misaligned, and that's just from movement. So that happens. You've just got to be real careful here and move it sort of into the position you want, so it lines up with the hole in the glass there. Sometimes you have to jiggle it around a bit, but for the most part it just goes on pretty good. And you can see me just coming under there just to give it a bit of a shunt to the left hand side there, so it aligns. And then there you go, it drops in. This is pretty much closing it up at this point. Now you can see there, if you leave any glass or any old glue or adhesive there, it's actually going to not be good. So this is why it's paramount that we clean that whole frame up like spotless. But other than that, it's pretty good. This one fell on there like flat, nice and flat. There's no like high spots, which is exactly what you want. And then we'll go down and clamp it up. These clamps here, they're really only to hold it in position till the glue's sets. We don't advise winding them too tight, obviously, because you could damage the display underneath, for one, and you could damage the back glass as well if you crunch them down too tight. So I just do hand tight there. So when I feel resistance, I sort of just stop it there. It's not really to squeeze it down, it's just to position it and keep it in the right position while the adhesive dries. So there we go, the job's nearly done here. We're just clamping up now. That's about it. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, it is a technical job, well, not really technical, but it is, you've got to be really mindful of all the danger zones and areas when doing this repair. For a novice, I wouldn't suggest starting with probably a 13 Pro Max. This is one of the harder ones. A nice easy one's probably an iPhone X. I think we're really easy. The iPhone 12s are pretty good. But yeah, this guy here is painful. There's too much stuff that can go wrong. And I guess this is probably why a lot of repair shops, like I mentioned before, don't really do them. We see a lot of them. I think we may be the only people in our area that does these the same day. Most of our competitors will do back glass, but it takes a couple of weeks. But we do all this in-house same day. We've got a laser machine too for cutting adhesive. You've probably seen those videos with a laser machine. We do have a laser machine. We used it. but we don't really, we feel that doing it this way is a lot more cleaner. You don't get that burn smell that the customer's going to probably complain about, and for right reasons. And after a lot of these repairs, we've got good at it, and we're confident that this is probably the best way for us to do it. If you're starting out, maybe a laser machine might be good for you, but that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching.